can you you're welcome to the show. Thank you so much. You're a first time person, and thank you for joining us. And we've been talking about prenuptial agreements, if they're necessary, relevant, or they're the kiss of death to relationships. So we know that you're a lawyer, so we're really looking forward to your thoughts. Akaliti, I'll be adding you on, so just hang on, please. But we just want to hear from Olubak.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So basically, prenuptial agreements are agreements you sign before a marriage, between husband and wife, specifying that if anything happens in the event of a divorce, this is how they're going to share the property and assets. Now, usually in the US and the UK, where it's more prevalent, they follow the letter of the law, although it can be invalidated by one of the contracting parties not being able to contract, like age-wise, you're not old enough to marry and all. In Africa, Nigeria especially, it is not really our thing. It's not a thing we consider. Like, essentially, the generations before us will tell you, stick with the marriage. It's not so bad. It didn't kill your grandmother, it didn't kill your mother and your father, it did not kill you. But this generation now has moved past that. We have now reached the stage where we want to follow, like, it's not a life sentence to marry somebody. If the marriage is not working, it's better to choose life than to die in the relationship. Now, a post-nuptial agreement is an agreement that is made after a marriage. Now, this is, well, it's more like a negotiation. At this point, they are married, but they are seeing that there is possibility of a divorce coming or a separation coming. So they decide how they're going to separate the assets from the basis of the marriage and whatever, and they do all that. So that is where they are. That's the difference. One is pre-marriage, one is after the marriage. Okay, sorry. Sorry, what other question was that?
And then wills, like if you could touch briefly on wills.
Okay, a will essentially is an instrument that a person uses to share his property before he gets deceased. It comes into force after the person's demise, male or female. Usually, it shares the property. Now, our courts generally uphold the will, except you have some clauses in it that are abhorrent to our law, against our constitution. Like, for instance, you cannot specify that you must be buried with 14 human heads and all that. But essentially, well, it's been known to happen. It just didn't happen. But essentially, it's just to share the properties to ensure that there's no fight. Some people go as far as ensuring that this is how I want my property to be shared. But anybody that wants to contest it in court will lose all rights to it if they do not win the case. So that's basically what it is. I think it's actually a very, very good thing.
Sorry?
I said I think it's a very good thing. It's something that at this point in time, once you have any property, start planning how to write a will. Nobody wants to die, but death can happen at any time.
Exactly. So can a prenuptial agreement or postnuptial agreement actually stand as a will in a marriage or in a relationship?
No, it cannot.
So if the person has if they've updated, let's say they updated their prenup, or their postnup, they updated it, and then 6 months after, one of them passes away, that postnup cannot stand as a will.
No, it cannot. They are two separate entities. A will comes into play after the person's death. A postnup agreement in the event of a divorce while they are still living. If the person, they divorce in the or if somebody dies while they're trying to go through a divorce, a will, if there's no will, the person dies intestate, the law would follow the natural justice, and this is the person's wife, whether they're in the process of divorce or not. That is why you have instances where people are separated the one of the spouses dies and the other person inherits the properties.
So
because
the prenup didn't write a will.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, it looks like NEPA has struck where you are.
Oh, it did. NEPA, they decided to. We've had like the whole day. They just decided that today, no.
They decided to God shame also.
They said, now you're online. How dare you be online? Who do you think you are? You are going to hide your face.
You look good in that.
In the words of my friend, my village people found
I want our viewers to really get the nitty-gritty of this. So let's say that a couple have a prenup that they've said that okay, this is how I want our children to be raised. In the case of we separate or whatever, or this is the agreement that we are making regards to our money, the way our children are going to be raised, the properties that we've got. These are the decisions that we're making, but they didn't get around to writing a will, so that prenup is negated completely.
Yes, it is. No, well, technically speaking, assuming the prenup can actually go as far as, it's extends to this is how the children should be raised and all that, it doesn't really matter because they cover two separate things. A will generally deals with property and monies and property. Prenups deal with how to share assets. So if you have what I call it, a trust for the children that both of them decide to be paying money into, and you incorporate it into the will, it will stand. Basically, like, okay, for the educational purposes for the children, it would stand. But not.
So, yeah, but not.
But not that okay, this is the prenup, this is what I'm entitled to. After the person dies, the will supersedes everything else.
But what if the person doesn't leave a will? Then it's intestate.
Yes, if you die intestate, it's even worse because the prenup will not even come into it at all. The government would now, there are certain laid down procedures. You pay a tax on the properties, then they share the properties according to wives, children. If you don't have a wife, you don't have children, your family, your parents. If you don't have any of them, your brothers, your sisters, you don't have half brothers, half sisters. If you don't have step brothers, step sisters, if you don't have, the state takes your property.
Whoa. Okay.
So if you don't have acknowledged children, you're done.
Oh, okay. That is scary.
What if you have
I'm so sorry. I think I apologize. I think because I made fun of NEPA, they decided to strike on my own end here too. Please, village people, forgive me.
So
yeah, PK, go back.
Yeah, I was saying, what if you have a next of kin listed on your assets? So you know how when you have let's say insurance at work, they will ask you who's the next of kin in case something happens. If you're buying like shares, they will ask you when you're filling out the form, who's your next of kin. If you have next of kin listed on all these things, do you still need a will?
Yeah, the question. Hey,
yes, he was asking. I think Ogake was asking about next of kin. Yes. Okay, let me give you an example with a case I handled. Now, this man died intestate. He had a wife and a son. He had an older daughter by a previous marriage and all. Now, the wife was in one of the houses, and he was a very rich man. He had lots of houses. He had accounts in about 5 or 6 banks and everything. Now, in one of his accounts, the wife was listed as next of kin. So it was that bank that called her one day, like maybe 2 years after her husband died, that, madam, you didn't tell us that you are no longer the next of kin. She said, what do you mean? Like your husband's brother is saying he's next of kin. He has letters from the courts and everything. And she was like, what do you mean? And then we had to go and find out that the older brother of this man, he came from America to Nigeria. He went to the court, said the man didn't have a next of kin. And the wife wasn't aware. She's not educated. So they went and got letters of administration claiming that the brother was the next of kin. So he went to his bank accounts, emptied them, went to the properties, got rent for about 5 or 10 years from people, even sold some properties. The wife was not aware of it. It was the one bank that called her. And when they called her, they had emptied 5 of 6 accounts, sold properties and everything. We took the case to court. She won the case, but before they could apprehend the man, he went back to America. Now, the only reason she knew was she was next of kin somewhere. If not, she would not have known it was too late.
So it is so important that once anybody starts to own anything, even if it's a transistor radio, it's time to start writing a will to make sure that it